Hi, everybody. It's March 17th, 2026, and I'm in the middle of my 10,000 steps. And I've been doing these videos as part of my recovery from the trauma of watching my little brother, Paul Cairns, 64 with Down syndrome, be locked up by the British Columbia New Democratic Party government. David Eby is leader when I complained to the police after I discovered what I believed to be a fraudulent forged power of attorney. The government had appointed my 82-year-old Catholic nun sister 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario as Paul's guardian so they could get her permission to give him the COVID-19 shot. That was back on February 1st of 2022. So they locked Paul away with no visits from me. I was his last surviving family visitor. And then he had a stroke in April of 2024, and I believe they sedated him to death. He was recovering from the stroke, and when my sister found out that the RCMP were proceeding with the investigation, they had called me to tell me that within 2 hours Paul was dead. So that's basically what happened, is the government locked up my little brother with no visits for the last 2 years of his life. And then my sister ordered them to sedate him to death. Now that's very sad, and I've been posting about that, but I just had the most incredible thing. I try and do 10,000 steps a day. I've got a potentially life-threatening cardiac condition. So I've done 10,000 steps a day almost every day since August 1 of 2024. But today, while I was doing my 10,000 steps, I was walking along Schoolhouse Street in Coquitlam, and there's a creek that runs under Schoolhouse Street. And occasionally, fairly frequently, I see a blue heron standing in this creek, especially if it's raining. So I was, hoping that I would see this beautiful blue heron. They're the most majestic animals. And it was there. The blue heron, it's huge. It was our huge blue heron. I guess they come in different sizes, but it was more than a meter tall, standing in the creek. But it was standing there looking at something, and I could see something was swimming around its legs. And it was a beaver. And I have seen this before about 10 years ago when I lived in Maple Ridge. I was at Pitt Lake, and I saw a couple of beavers, a mother beaver and a baby beaver, in a creek beside the road. And the mother was doing something with some twigs and some wood. The baby was just swimming around near her. And this big, huge, great blue heron walked over and stood between me and the beavers, like he was protecting them. I think they socialize. Blue herons are predatory. They're hunters. They're brilliant. They've been around. They're really a form of dinosaur. And beavers are also of course, extremely intelligent. They are really the architects of nature, of the wild. But I think they like to hang out together. And this beaver kept on swimming around, and I thought, could it be a beaver? Like, to see a beaver in Maple Ridge is not that impossible, but to see a beaver in Coquitlam, on the busy street near one of the biggest mall in Coquitlam, right beside the biggest mall in Coquitlam. And the great blue heron never flew away. I walked over the bridge on Schoolhouse over this creek, and he never flew away. And I just saw this beaver, and it was a big one too, swimming around him. It could have been an otter, but I think it was a beaver. Anyways, So I'm still on a high. I'm right in the middle of my 10,000 steps, but I'm still on a high from this amazing sight. And it looked like they were just hanging out together like friends. The beaver didn't go away, and the great blue heron didn't go away either. Anyways, that's my story for St. Pat. That was my St. Patrick's Day surprise. What a wonderful, exciting thing to happen on St. Patrick's Day. It was just wild. It was so exciting. Anyways, I love you all. Take care.